the Grouchy Nerd.
Alright, quiet down, knuckleheads. It's time to take a look at another new hero for Fantasy Flight Games Marvel Champions. This time we're looking at SPDR. Penny Parker's story is dark. It's a dark one. Her dad had been the pilot of the SPDR suit, but he died in the field, and the program he was a part of needed someone with his same genetic makeup to have a psychic bond with a spider that was the actual hero, I think. And so they chose Penny Parker, his very young daughter, or at least very young looking daughter, to bond with the spider, which apparently hurt. It's dark. I didn't like that part. Anyway, Penny Parker became the spider totem of Earth 14512. That classic chestnut of an alternate reality. And she's helped out on a bunch of spider totem adventures. But why does a character with 15 comic book appearances make it into this game? Well, I'm glad I asked. It's so they could do something pretty cool with her identity. Check this out. On the hero sides, we have the active side of the SPDR suit, which has 2s in all 3 stats, which is always fun to see. It has the Web Warrior trait and gets Sync Ratio. Exhaust an interface upgrade you control to generate that upgrade's resource. Now, what it does not say there is once per round, once per phase. Nope. You can do it as many times as you have interfaces. So as long as there's more than one interface, there's 5. You're going to get 5 free resources every turn, which is a good thing, because one thing I have not mentioned is her hand size. It's 3. Hit points are 14, but a hand size of 3. Oh, I think we've been down this road before. But we do start with an interface in play. SPDR herself, a permanent upgrade card with the interface and pilot traits. In addition to the permanent keyword, this card's text box cannot be treated as if it were blank. And Suit Up, a forced interrupt. When you flip to this side, flip the SPDR suit to its active side and attach this card to the suit, moving all counters on this card or attached to this card to the suit. Now, SPDR does not have any inherent interactions with any kind of counters, so this is either future-proofing a character that's allowed to put counters on somebody else, or it's referencing status cards, but I've never seen those called counters anywhere else. Onto the alter ego side, we'll first look at the inactive side of the SPDR suit, which turns into a support, much like SPDR herself was an upgrade. It also has the tech trait and the same permanent / text box can't be treated as if it were blank that we saw on SPDR. It also has a forced interrupt. When you flip to this side, flip SPDR to the Penny Parker side. Detach Penny Parker from the suit, moving all counters and cards on the suit to Penny Parker. And Penny Parker, who has a 4 recovery and the civilian trait. On setup, put the suit into play inactive side up, and as an alter ego action, maintenance. Exhaust the suit to draw 2 cards, which is a good thing because her hand size only goes up the normal 1 to 4. Okay, so Penny is the alter ego and SPDR is the hero who rides around in a suit that is actually controlled by the spider that she has a psychic link with. I think. Whatever the storyline is, this is cool. You're using either the suit or the person, and there's still a use for the other in whichever form you're in. If you're the suit, you can use SPDR as an interface to gain a resource from her, and it's a wild resource, which is really nice. And if you're Penny, you can use the suit to draw 2 cards. It also means you can do a basic action with the suit, attack or thwart or whatever, and then flip down and still use Penny's basic recovery because she hasn't exhausted, only the suit has. Digging into the kit, Penny's signature ally is Ven M, as played by Addie Brock. She costs 4 for 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 3 hit points. No traits, but Ven M gets +1 in her thwart and attack for each sim counter on her. As a hero response, after Ven M enters play, place 1 sim counter on her for each resource you use SPDR suit's Sync Ratio ability to pay for her. That is wild. There's 5 interfaces. If you have 4 in play and use all 4 to pay for her, she's going to be coming into play as a 5/5 character with 3 hit points. That's 15 damage over 3 activations, or 15 threat, or however you want to use her. That's crazy. And how do you make sure you have all those interfaces in play and ready to use? Well, you probably want to use one of your 3 copies of All Systems Go, a 1-cost event. As a hero action, either ready each of your interfaces or search your deck and discard pile for an interface upgrade and put it into your hand. That's so good. There's 4 interfaces you need to find in your deck and get them into play as soon as you can. 3 copies of this is going to help you find them very, very easily. And then after that, they ready all your interfaces so they can do all the things that they do again, or be 5 whole new resources again. Next up is 2 copies of Rapid Deployment, a 2-cost thwart event. As a hero action, remove 3 threat from a scheme, and if you used sync ratio to pay for it, remove an additional 3 threat from a scheme. So that's not another scheme. It's not like melee, for instance, which is do damage to an enemy and then do damage to a different enemy. This can be the same scheme getting 6 threat off, or you can get 3 threat off of 2 different schemes. That's nice. 2 copies of Web Trap is next, a 2-cost attack event. As a hero action, deal 5 damage to an enemy, but if you paid for this using a resource generated by sync ratio, also stun that enemy. That's amazing. 2 cost for 5 damage is already pretty good, but you throw a stun on top of that, and that's incredible. Next up is a 1-cost support Aunt May and Uncle Ben, which is a different name than Peter Parker's Aunt May. So for the purposes of the unique rule, if you are playing two-handed or with somebody else who's playing a Spider-Man, that's not a problem there. They have the Persona trait, and as an action, you may exhaust them to discard the top 2 cards of your deck in Hero or 3 cards in Alter Ego, and add each Hero card discarded this way into your hand. Another albeit inconsistent way to sort of mitigate that terrible hand size. You have the potential of drawing 2 or 3 cards, but you also have the potential of drawing nothing and just burning through some good aspect cards. Though it is nice that it doesn't have a form requirement. You can use it in either Hero or Alter Ego, so that's pretty cool. Then we have 1 copy of a 0-cost support Ejection Protocol. It has the Tactic trait, and as a hero action, discard Ejection Protocol, exhaust each interface, set your hit points to 6, gain a tough, and flip to Alter Ego. Man, that's cool. Really lets you push the envelope on how much damage you're willing to take before you have to do anything about it. And when you do, you flip down to Alter Ego for free and gain a tough status, so you can still flip back to hero mode because you still get to choose to do that once per turn. Next is SPDR Command, a 1-cost location support. You have options on this one, but in both cases, they're hero actions. Either exhaust it and an interface upgrade to draw a card, or exhaust it and discard a card to ready an interface upgrade. All right, we're going to come back to this one after we look at the interfaces. First up is Host Spider, 1 copy of a 3-cost upgrade with the interface and spider traits. As a hero action, exhaust Host Spider to ready the SPDR suit. Psychic Link is a 2-cost interface upgrade that also has a tech trait. As a hero interrupt, you can exhaust this when SPDR thwarts to increase their thwart by 2. Speed Metal Alloy is a 1-cost interface and tech upgrade, and as a hero response, you can exhaust this one to get +2 to your defense when doing a basic defend. And last is Web Fluid Compressor, a 2-cost tech interface upgrade that exhausts to give SPDR +2 to a basic attack. So there's 1 for every stat and 1 to ready. Wonderful. So now let's look at that SPDR command again. You can exhaust the interface that boosts the stat that you don't need to use this turn to draw a card, or even better, you can discard a card to ready the spider, which is the thing that lets you ready. So by readying that, you've now had 3 activations. You've activated, you've exhausted the spider to ready, and now you can exhaust this and discard a card to ready the spider to ready the SPDR suit. The bad stuff. SPDR's obligation is Inherited Burden. Exhaust Penny Parker to get rid of it, or discard a whole interface to discard it. Discard an interface? That is excessive. Exhaust 2 of them or something. Discard one. Whoa. SPDR's signature side scheme is Giant Monster Attack, which comes in with 4 threat, and as an additional cost to thwart this scheme, you must spend an energy resource. For a character with not a lot of cards to spare, this one hurts having that requirement. Luckily, though, the 4 threat is what your thwart is at if you use the Psychic Link to boost your thwart. So that's nice. You can at least clear it on 1 pretty easily. You just need to make sure you have that energy resource. Then it's Morbin in time. SPDR's signature nemesis is Morbius. It's going to spell out Morbius. He's got 6 HP, 2 scheme, 2 attack, and the creature trait after the engaged hero generates any number of resources, deal an equal amount of damage to that hero. Alright, so get rid of this guy without spending any resources, or without spending many resources. You can get your basic attack up to 4 with the Web Fluid Compressor, so readying with this Host Spider and hitting him again is an option, or an ally, or you got ways. It's not that bad. On the other hand, 3 copies of Energy Drain is devastating. When revealed, you must spend 2 energy resources, or exhaust if you're in Alter Ego form, or take 3 damage if you're in Hero form. Once you're set up, finding those 2 resources isn't going to be that big of a deal, but until you're set up, that's going to be nigh on impossible, or at the very least is going to totally tank whatever you had planned that turn. 3 cards in hand, and if you have to chuck a couple of them for their resources and then not get anything back, that's going to be tough if this comes up early. Onto our aspect cards, SPDR's pre-constructed deck used the protection aspect. First up is Earth 14512's version of Daredevil, No Alter Ego, which seems like it should be allowing both this and the Justice ally to be in play at the same time, or the eventual, I hope, hero, because it doesn't have the alter ego, but apparently no, it doesn't mean that. You don't move on to the alter ego to check those against each other if one of them doesn't have it. So then why not just call him Matt Murdock, or Matt Murdock of, that's weird. Anyway, this is a protection Daredevil that costs 2 resources and has 3 hit points. He does 2 thwart with 2 consequential damage and 1 attack at 1 consequential damage. After he defends, remove 1 damage from him and put it on the attacking enemy. Okay, so cool in theory, but it's not quite like Retaliate. He's going to get hit, and then if he survives that, he takes 1 damage and puts it back on the thing that attacked him. But 2 cost for an ally that does 2 threat removal in protection is very welcome indeed. Then Spider-Man Noir, also no alter ego. He's a web warrior, he's going to cost 3 to get out and has 3 hit points, but he has X's in his stats. X is equal to the number of face-down cards on Spider-Man Noir, and as a response, after you resolve a treachery, attach it here face down to a max of 3, though you must control at least 1 other web warrior card to do this. So probably not an ally that you're going to be using for his basic stats or to block until pretty late into the game, but until then, it's a great place to house treacheries that you don't want to see again, like Advance. Advance can't hurt you again. Daredevil's keeping track of it. 3 copies of a 0-cost event is up next. Repurpose. It's a skill, and as a hero action, discard a tech upgrade you control to ready your hero and pick a basic stat to boost by the printed cost of the discarded upgrade. What a great way to get rid of an energy barrier that's about to run out, or a weapon that's on its last ammo, or there's another card we're going to see here in a little bit that's really good for it. Yeah, this is a big card. This one's really cool. Then we have 3 copies of a 2-cost event. That's It's a superpower, and as a hero action, deal 1 damage to a web warrior you control to place a total of 2 stun on up to 2 enemies. So it can stun an enemy with steady, which is really nice because that's been coming up more and more. And also, just in general, in a web warrior deck, there's a fair few number of reasons why you want to do damage to one of your allies and get them out of play. Somebody like Hobie Brown has the potential to do a tremendous amount of damage on his way out, and then if you have Web of Life and Destiny in play, you're also drawing a card. Then we've got Force Field Generator, which we get 3 of. It's a 3-cost upgrade with the tech trait, and it gets 6 use counters, max 1 per player. As a forced interrupt, when you would take any amount of damage, remove that many counters from here and prevent that much damage. So you can blank up to 6 damage, or if you get it to like 1 charge left, you can use Repurpose to boost your attack by 3. This is the one earlier I said that we were going to look at another one. It was this. Then we have 3 copies of Spider Tingle, a 1-cost superpower upgrade. As an interrupt, when you would reveal an encounter card, deal 1 damage to a web warrior you control, and if that card is a treachery, cancel its when revealed effects and discard Spider Tingle. So there's a little bit of a gamble. You have to take the damage before you know whether or not you've drawn a treachery, but you only have to discard Spider Tingle if it is a treachery. Also, this is the image they chose to show us the Spider Tingle. A dinosaur, like inches from Spider-Man's face. I feel like I would have noticed a dinosaur sneaking up on me, and I don't have any of this. I don't have any of these things going. Then we've got the ally version of Spider-Ham. Finally, I know we've all been waiting for any and all versions we can get of this classic, beloved character. He costs 3, has 2 thwart and 2 attack, each with no consequential damage, 3 hit points, and the cartoon and web warrior traits. You may only play him if you control another web warrior card, and as a forced response after he attacks or thwarts, discard the top card of the encounter deck and deal damage to him equal to the number of boost icons. So he might not take any consequential damage, or he might go out and 1. Why not? But again, if you're leaning heavily into web warriors and you're using Web of Life and Destiny to draw cards every time a web warrior goes out of play, yeah, you're probably going to be fine seeing that little pigtail go spiraling off into the unknown. Next up is Spider-Man, as played by Otto Octavius, making this the superior Spider-Man. He costs 2, does 1 thwart and 2 attack with 2 consequential damage. He's a web warrior. You have to control another web warrior to play him, and when you do play him from hand, ready an upgrade you control. If that upgrade had the tech trait, draw a card. I love that. Otto was really tech focused when he was inside Peter Parker. When he took control of Peter Parker's body. There we go. She's particularly great in SPDR. She has all those interface upgrades. Granted, the one you're probably going to want to ready, the host spider, is not a tech upgrade, but who cares? You're readying the thing that lets you ready again. Next is Limitless Stamina. It's a 1-cost basic event with the superpower trait. If your identity has at least 14 hit points, as a hero action, ready your hero. Holy crap, that is insane. Thor, Valkyrie, Hulk, She-Hulk, obviously SPDR. You just get to ready for 1? And it's a superpower, so if you have deft focus out, which why wouldn't you with a couple of those heroes, it's free to ready. Then we have a 1-cost basic upgrade that can only be played if your hero has at least 14 hit points. Unshakable. It's a superpower and condition. Your identity gains steady, so it'll take 2 status cards to either stun or confuse them. Do you think Fantasy Flight's mad at us? I suddenly feel like a kid in the backseat who's been complaining that I'm hungry and my dad just turned around and screamed that, okay, he'll stop at the drive-thru. Like they just went, okay, fine, Hulk is fixed, okay? Stop! I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Fantasy Flight. I'm sorry, Caleb. I'm just kidding. They have no idea who we are. Okay, so will they? Will they fix Hulk? Yeah, probably. Are they going to feel a little cheap to use? Certainly, almost definitely. Am I still going to use him? You betcha. Yeah, absolutely. Readying Hulk when his attack is super boosted, that just wins the game. That's amazing. And being stunned when he has absolutely nothing else he can do, he can't thwart at all. So being stunned is debilitating with him. So if this takes twice as many stun encounters in order to stun him, yeah, okay. Both of those are incredible. But I do definitely feel like there is an implicit, okay, shut up now about Hulk, and I feel like only time will tell if I take that note. I do hate to lose a good running joke. Last up is Clarity of Purpose. We get 3 copies of this 1-cost leadership upgrade with the condition trait and the limitation of 1 per character. Attach it to a friendly character to get a hero response. Exhaust this card and deal 1 damage to the attached character to generate a wild resource. I mean, that gives any hero the ability to get Venom's incredible hero ability. Also, you can use it on allies that you want to have leave play fast. What a card. That's an amazing card. Don't let that hand size fool you. She is a powerhouse, especially once she gets set up, and it doesn't take that long to get set up. Though it's still not a bad idea to look into aspect cards that are going to let you draw more. She can already afford a lot, but if you can bolster that hand size at all, you're going to have some amazing turns. There's not a bad fit for her, aspect-wise. Everything's going to be good. She already has 2s in all of her stats. She has an interface for each of those stats to get them up to 4. Protection is, of course, a nice fit anytime a character is able to defend, but then still have the ability to ready and use a basic action in the hero phase. Very, very powerful. This one can ready so much. You can ready her so much. If you play aggression and it ends up being a speed burn deck, burn through the 2 phases of the villain as fast as possible, and you don't even mean to. It's just you have energy, you have damage output everywhere. She might be too good. She could end up in the pile with Doctor Strange of, I'm never going to lose with this character. Just another back-to-back character that I was not interested in the least in coming into this game, this one and the last one, Spider-Ham, and here we are. They're incredible. They're so fun. They're so different. All right, well, that's going to do it for SPDR. Hit like, hit subscribe, maybe give it a share. Definitely get off my lawn. Definitely do that one. The Grouchy Nerd.